not about politics. It's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. You're just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football. I'm Trevor Sikkema. This is Mike Renner. Tuesday edition of the show, which means we've got a jam-packed episode here for you guys. We're talking Dogs of the Week, highlighting some of our favorite player, coach, or team performances that we saw over the weekend. We've also got Seth back for another whiteboard segment because we know you guys love those X's and O's breakdown so much. We're going to talk about the shocking upset. The Washington Commanders taking down the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to have some look-ahead lines as well. And Mike and I are going to give you our top 5 power rankings for each conference in the NFL. Mike, how are we feeling this morning?
Feeling fantastic. I was yesterday after the show, we thought, we weren't going to really talk about Monday Night Football in today's show. We thought, 11-point line, it's probably not going to be that interesting. It was pretty damn interesting. I had a great time watching that game. Unfortunately, the way it ended kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. You want it to be like, the refs not getting involved to the degree that they were. But
what are you talking about? Are you talking about the kneel down?
I'm talking about the face mask fumble.
The face mask fumble was not great. Objectively not great. However, how the game actually ended, massive brain play from Taylor Heinicke to take the knee and then take the extra hit. The second he felt contact, he got up and he pointed for the first down. That guy knew exactly what he was doing. I'd be surprised if he wasn't a dog of the week here on the show, either from us or from you guys in the chat. Shout out to everybody who's watching the show at home. Thank you so much for joining us here on a wonderful Tuesday morning. I do have to say, Drummer, who was our chat champ yesterday, beginning of the show yesterday, he said that he couldn't be in the chat because he was going to court. We were left to decide what he was going to court for, like whether it was an actual crime, whether he was a judge, whether he was jury duty, whether he was a lawyer. And Drummer got back in on the chat this morning, right as the show was starting, and said, watching this episode from prison, judge said he won't let me out until Kyle Pitts scores a touchdown. Also, pretty sure I just saw Austin Gale in here. #MasterGator.
That all checks out. That all makes sense for one of our watchers, one of our viewers.
Also, shout out to Nathan TMF, who was our chat champ from yesterday. Picked a good day to be the chat champ here on the show as we were highlighting some Dogs of the Week. We want to hear from you guys plenty. So think about some player performances that you saw over the weekend that encapsulate what it means to have that dog in them. We want to hear from you guys when we get to that segment. Time to get the production portal boys into the show. Quinn representing them. I see that it is Beanie Day here. It is officially Beanie season?
Yeah, it's going to be Beanie season for the foreseeable future, unfortunately.
Quinn, are you, by chance, you a Bengals fan?
How'd you know? Is it like most questions of the day or like trivia don't have some sort of tie?
Right. Do you? I have to know. Is the shirt underneath also a Bengals shirt?
Yeah.
It actually
is. I didn't know that. I didn't know if it was or not.
Quinn's going to a game. It's like a going to a game outfit.
It kind of is, yeah.
Tuesday.
I have a lot of Bengals shit. I also have so my fiance used to sell beer, and I have a lot of just free beer T-shirts, which also tend to have a lot of Bengals shit on them.
That's true.
I just rotate those as undershirts under the quarter zip.
What is the thing they do pregame for Bengals games? Do they like bang a drum or do they blow on a horn? What do they? Do you know what they do? What do they do at the beginning of games?
Play Welcome to the Jungle.
They do that,
but right before the kick.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to cape for you, Quinn, because I want you to be able to do that. We need to tag the Bengals in this because I want you to be. You are a diehard fan right now.
It's Ruler of the Jungle.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's usually a former player or maybe a producer of a wildly successful YouTube daily football show.
Yeah. Either of those.
Something like that.
That's what I'm saying. Look, I'm trying to cape for Quinn. I want everybody in the chat to tag the Bengals incessantly. Just absolutely flood them. Email, direct message, everything.
We need rulers of the jungle.
We need Quinn to be rulers of the jungle. Quinn, what's our question of the day here to kick off the show?
Yeah, you guys obviously talked about Monday Night Football. Who was the last team to beat an 8-0 team? Last NFL team to beat an 8-0 team.
So for the Cardinals, we had a similar question today not too long ago of how many teams have started 8-0. Weren't the Cardinals the last one?
Were they?
Emphasis
Last
on
year? Were they 8-0 last year?
emphasis on 8-0, right? Because like my Bengals beat the Steelers to death when they were 11-0, but 11-0 is not 8-0.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
well, sure, right.
So
Right.
8-0.
That was 2 years ago, right? Steelers were, I don't know. You said the Cardinals were the last ones to start 8-0?
I think.
Was it last year they started 8-0?
I think they did. I know it was at least 7. This is the same thing. I didn't learn from my mistakes because I had the same reaction when I heard the question today, last time this was asked. It was the Cardinals either started 7-0 or 8-0. I cannot remember which one it was.
Okay.
But who would have beat the Cardinals?
I know the Packers beat the Cardinals last year to really like kickstart their
Ooh,
slide.
could be the Packers.
With that wild Russell
Could be
Douglas
the
interception
Packers
in the end
here.
zone. Let me think. Who else?
Daniel said Commanders last night. It was a trick question. They are the most recent. They are the last team to do it, technically, as this show
Excluding
is
the Commanders.
here.
But yes, technically
Excluding the
he's right.
Commanders. There we go. All right, Daniel, you don't get that
I don't
one.
know.
I felt I didn't need to state the obvious.
Mine would just be a complete guess, but I feel like it's the Cardinals. I think they were the last team to start 8-0.
Okay, but then who defeated them?
Well, that's the thing.
Okay,
Is
so
that
then-
it's
yeah.
complete guess for me.
I'm not
I can
sure.
guess a divisional team. The Rams, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Just
I
throwing
really
one out.
know
We'll have to put some brain power to this one. We're going to have
See
to
what
put a
the
little bit of
chat's
brain
got.
power to it. Brain powder. I don't know what that is. Maybe LSD. We can put a little bit to that, and we'll get the answer here at the end of the show. Let's jump into some stats that matter. Mike, you mentioned it. We didn't think we were going to really talk about this game very much.
Yeah.
And as it plays out, Washington Commanders were the team that won by 11, not the team that was favored by 11. Washington wins this game 32-21. Washington goes to 5-5 on the season. Eagles dropped their first one, so they are just 8-1. But now they are tied with the Minnesota Vikings for that number 1 overall seed in the NFC. Mike, what are some stats that matter from you? Is there one thing that you looked at the game, whether it was a player's individual stat or a team stat overall, something that mattered and the reason why this game ended up playing the way that it did?
Yeah, it's the turnovers. This was a team that was far and away number 1 in the NFL going into that. I mean, they're still number 1 in the NFL in terms of turnover differential, but they were plus 15 going into this game. Had only 3, I believe, giveaways all season long. Gave it away 4 times. The huge fumble there by Quez Watkins at the end of the game to obviously, almost seal it there. The one chance they had to come back, he fumbled it away. 4 turnovers you're not going to win a lot of games like that. And it's one thing that we said about this Eagles team, why I was a believer in them, why I think they're going to still be the 1 seed in the NFC, is that they don't lose games. I think Monday night they finally lost a game. They gave that one away with those 4 turnovers, something that just very uncanny for them. First time they saw a second half deficit all season long. First time we really got to see them fight through some adversity. And
Right.
That's what it's going to look like come playoff time. They're not going to have this coasting sort of second halves that they've been used to in playoff or through the first 9 weeks of the season come playoff time. So it was good for them to finally get that test, get that out the way. I'm not too worried about them obviously not responding and not coming back and winning, but it's good to fight through some adversity like that during the regular season. This will make them better tested come playoff time.
Yeah, we knew that this was coming at some point, right? We even talked about it on yesterday's show. I was excited to finally see whenever it was going to be the Eagles get challenged, have their backs against the wall. And that is something that happened last night, and I think that they are going to be able to take from this game and kind of learn from it, be better. But, dude, you even look at the time of possession in this game. Wild. Washington had over 40 minutes on offense. The Eagles didn't even have 20. That is an insane split of the time of possession. Of course, the turnovers go into that as well. But, man, you look at how Washington was running the football. It wasn't efficient, but it just kept chugging along. What was it, 47 carries as a team?
48 carries as a team.
48 carries as a team last night. And
3.2 per carry.
they weren't even averaging, right? They weren't even averaging that many yards per carry, but they just continued to salt the game away, continued to have drives go. It wasn't an explosive game. I mean, Taylor Heineke barely had over 200 yards passing, didn't have a touchdown, only completed 17 of these passes. Terry McLaurin, had 128 receiving yards in this game. The next closest was Curtis Samuel with 28 total. He had 100 yards more than these second-place guys. So it's not like they were really doing a ton in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
It was just those turnovers and how Washington was able to keep the football out of Philadelphia's hands. I think were the two big stats that matter here. I'll also shout out the lack of receiving game for the Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Brown specifically. Now, I know he got banged up a little bit in this game, but he came back. 4 targets, only 1 catch for 7 yards. Your boy, Quez Watkins, led the team with 4 receptions on 4 targets for 80 yards. So faster Batman was the one who ended up being the superhero for them, but it wasn't enough of a performance there. It just felt like the Eagles couldn't get enough going in the passing game.
Yeah, 3 fumbles from your receivers. It's going to be hard to overcome.
It's killer.
So I'm not going to go here and make a sweeping declaration about Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to make a sweeping declaration about the Eagles. But I do think this is a team that, when you are in those situations, why have we not put the Eagles in the same tier as the Chiefs, same tier as the Bills? When it is these comeback situations, when it is these obvious passing type of situations, when your backs are against the wall, am I trusting Jalen Hurts versus a guy like Patrick Mahomes versus a guy like Josh Allen versus even in the NFC, a guy like Tom Brady who could be there sitting in the playoffs? No. I'm taking those other guys at the moment. I think Jalen Hurts still needs to prove that aspect of the game before I'm really, really, really going to be sold on this team as, the Super Bowl favorite far and away in the NFC.
I don't think Washington is going to be in either of our top 5s when it comes to our power ranking, but I am very curious to see where the Eagles are going to be. So let's head over to the whiteboard now. We know that you guys love when we do these whiteboard segments. I don't know if you just like to see us walk and get a little bit of exercise or what it is. But we haven't done this in a while here. We haven't done power rankings for both of these conferences. So we're going to start with the AFC, then we're going to get to the NFC. We're going to power rank our top 5 teams. Mike, we'll start 5 to 1. Keep the suspense alive. That's how we keep people into the chat. You got to keep watching the show. Who is your number 5 team in the AFC right now?
My number 5 team in the AFC, and I just let the record show first off that I did this with the expressed written consent of the NFL. Yes, okay, but with the express intent of playoffs in mind, with the teams getting guys who are supposed to come back by the end of the season in mind. So top 5 power rankings of if you're going through the gauntlet of the AFC playoffs, how I'd stack it up.
Okay.
So, Bills are going to get Tre'Davious White back healthy. The Chargers are going to get Joey Bosa back healthy. That's what I'm assuming with these power rankings.
Okay.
Justin Herbert's not going to have broken ribs.
Okay.
That's all right. So at number 5, we are going to go with the Chargers because of this. If I can write the full Chargers. It's getting bigger as we go.
That's on you, dude.
Yes, I know. Chargers coming in at number 5. I just believe that this team, when fully healthy, if you get Rashawn Slater back, if you get Joey Bosa back, they still have the goods on both sides of the ball to beat anyone in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They are capable of that high end, and if you get Keenan Allen back, get Mike Williams back, this offense can finally get off the ground. I do just think they are built on both sides of the ball. You saw them competing with the 49ers for a good portion of that game before just, the offensive or lack of offensive playmakers just being too much for this team, but I still believe, 5-4 there.
If they get healthy, obviously this is a team that a lot of people had really high hopes on this season, and so I think that does make sense if you are saying, hey, this team's going to get a lot healthier down the stretch. I'm grabbing the purple marker here, and I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh.
I think they're playing better ball as of late. Thought it was a little bit of a shaky start to the season, but I feel like this is a team that is, like you said, going in the right direction, clicking where they need to. And when I project what they could be at the end of the season, I think Lamar's getting into a groove. I know having so many injuries on the offense, especially with those playmakers, is going to hurt him, but I think they'll be able to figure it out. I think the defense is certainly taking a step up as well. You make a big trade for Roquan Smith. You've got guys in the defensive line just finding the fountain of youth. Calais Campbell, Justin Houston, Jason Pierre-Paul, all those guys. I think the secondary is still very solid there in Baltimore. So that's why I've got them as this number 5 team. I'm a sucker for Lamar Jackson, man. At any point in time, this guy could become absolutely unguardable. And so I've seen it a few times already this season. I think there's some really good balls ahead for the Ravens, so I got them at number 5. Who you got at number 4?
Yeah, I like the Ravens. Defensive turnaround from early in the season as well. Number 4, we're going with the hometown Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
because
You got to write thicker than that. They got to be able to see it.
oh Jesus Christ, this one ain't gonna get much thicker. This is all we got with this marker, unfortunately.
All right.
Cincinnati Bengals coming in at number 4. Again, this is a team that, at full strength, when Jamar Chase in the lineup, and then obviously they've won games even without him here. You saw the run game have a little resurgence against the Panthers a couple weeks ago, though. But they can put up points in anyone. That trio of wide receivers is a nightmare to defend. I don't care who you are. As a defensive coordinator, Joe Burrow at the helm. Obviously, we saw what he did last year in the playoffs. And this defense is getting underrated still. I still think at full strength, this defense just is tough. They're going to limit everyone. It's going to be difficult to really light up this Bengals defense with how complete they are at all 3 levels.
I'm sticking with the same team. I'm going with the Bengals here. And a lot of it has to do with what you mentioned. I think the team is definitely clicking. I think that when they have been fully healthy, they've showed that they can score with basically anybody. They don't have Jamar Chase right now, and I thought that was going to be a big Achilles heel. Last game, they were able to show, hey, we're a lot better than you think. We can make it happen without Jamar Chase. And I wondered if that was going to be something that was going to knock them way too far down, that the playoff race was going to be a little bit more of a dicey situation than we believed. But I don't think that's the case. They get a really great defense. Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator there, has those guys playing well for the second straight year. I think they're definitely on a roll. Anytime you got Joe Burrow, anything can happen because he's such a fantastic quarterback. So because of what the Bengals offense can be, because I know they're going to get Jamar Chase back, we saw what Joe Mixon was able to do last game. We saw what they could do with the other receivers as well. Offensive line still really worries me with Cincinnati, but I still got to put them at number 4 because of how many points they can put up in any given time.
All right, at number 3, and I'll say it, 1, 2, and 3 are close in my eyes. And the only difference, the way I stack them up because of the defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. And I think this number 3 team, the Miami Dolphins, oh my, that green one didn't work.
All right, just use this one.
Use the black one.
Yeah, just use this one. Just use that one.
The Miami Dolphins, I would say right now, probably have the worst defense of the big 3.
You started with an F, and I did not know where you were going there.
Fins.
I didn't know if you were going like Florida or what was happening there. Okay.
EPA per play when Tua Tagovailoa under center is top in the NFL. This offense, I don't care who they're facing, they're going to score points. That's how much talent they have. That's how well Tua's playing right now. 96.0 overall grade passing grade over the past 3 weeks. That's a stretch that you can't fake that. You can't fake the level of play that he's been playing at. He is for real. People want to hate on him. Go watch the tape from last week. It's all there. Miami Dolphins, I still worry about the defense side of the ball. We'll see when Bradley Chubb, what kind of impact he starts to make on this roster going forward if they do have a serious defensive turnaround with him in the lineup. But as of right now, I still have worries about that side of the ball, which is why I have 1 and 2 ahead of them. But offensively, they're right there.
I agree.
Yep.
I think I don't know what we're going with here. We're going with can't write. The Dolphins. Look, this is a team that I said that the Bengals can score with anybody at any given week. I have even more faith in the Dolphins offense to be able to do that. Their playmakers are just numerous. There's no way that the defenses have enough athletes to keep up with all of these guys. It's simply a matter of, can you scheme up something enough to confuse them a little bit, to rattle Tua? That's basically the only chance that you have right now. It's very hard for any team in the NFL to be able to line up man for man against the Miami Dolphins. If you do that, it's a recipe where they're just going to overtake you at some point. I agree the defense still has to get there, but Dolphins have to be in your top 3. They have to be in people's top 3, whether it's, I would tell you whether it's an AFC or overall in the NFL. If Dolphins aren't in your top 3, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. So
I agree. All right, number 2, I am going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. May upset some, but it's as close as it gets there, right at the top of the AFC. Even with those 3 teams, that's right at the top of the NFL. I completely agree. Those are the 3 best teams in the NFL right now. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, he is your MVP. There is no doubt about it in my eyes. He's playing the best ball just in terms of quarterbacking that he's played since 2019, I'll say. And he kind of got a little honed in on Tyreek Hill last year, was not working the offense as it is drawn up in the playbook. He's doing that to a T this year. They look great on that side of the ball. The only worry, 2 rookie corners. You got 2 rookie corners.
You like one of the rookie corners?
Oh, I love both the rookie corners.
Okay,
I had Josh
right.
Williams as a top 100 player. I had Trent McDuffie as the 11th overall player.
Nice.
I love those guys coming out. Don't get me wrong, but they are still rookie corners. Still rookie corners going to have to go up against Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill in the playoffs. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis in the playoffs. That's worrisome to me. And I get that the Bills are going to be starting rookie cornerback too. But I do think that's probably the biggest worry of mine.
Man, you talk about Patrick Mahomes being the MVP. I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
That's why I gotta have him at number one, man. I don't mean for this to seem like we're overreacting to a really close game that honestly could have gone either way with Buffalo. You know, when Buffalo stopped the Vikings on the goal line, we thought it was over. We thought that game was completely over. Then it's catastrophe. It's worst case scenario. They fumble on the goal line. Minnesota recovers. They end up getting the touchdown there. So, look, I just feel like the Bills are such a great team, but they do have to get healthier before they overtake the Chiefs. And if you are doing this in a simulation where you say they will get healthier, right? They will have Greg Rousseau back. They will have Trey Davis-White back, right? They will have Jordan Poyer back and healthy as well at some point in the season. So if you give them all of those things, sure, they're still right there contending for the number one spot. But certainly as it stands right now, I can't not have the Chiefs at number one, is what I was going to say there. But you got the Bills at number one. Tell us why.
I got the Bills at number one for what you all just said. They are getting a lot of guys back here, a lot of talent. They played that game against the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings without a guy like Greg Rousseau, who is a game changer in terms of what he brings to the table as a pass rusher. They did not have their secondary there whatsoever against the Minnesota Vikings, and it took a miraculous comeback for them even to lose that game. Yes, I'm worried about Josh Allen and the elbow, very much so. But again, at full strength, they already beat the Chiefs. You know, this team already did it. So that's why I go Bills at number one.
I think the Chiefs have to be at number one just because of how well Patrick Mahomes is playing. It seems like everybody was like, oh, you know, what's going to happen? You know, Tyreek Hill, what's going to happen with this offense? It's going to look different. It's still incredible. It's still unstoppable almost every single Sunday. I feel like I go into every week thinking the only team that can beat the Chiefs is the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. If they play their brand of football, they're going to beat any team in the NFL. That's why they have to be number one on this power ranking. That's why I would have them as number one in the NFL. They're figuring it out on defense. I love how they're utilizing Chris Jones. You know, last year, Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator there, he would use Chris Jones. He was trying to use him as a full-time defensive end because he wanted to get that mismatch on the end. But now he's keeping him on the interior, and then he's throwing that, you know, the slider, the curveball, the off-speed pitch is when on obvious passing situations you'll put him out to the outside. I think that's helping them so much. I like what the linebackers are doing. I agree, you know, rookie corners, it's hard to trust two rookie corners, but I think that they're holding up pretty well, especially for as many points the offense is scoring.
Yeah, I said that, but if you watch the tape of Trent McDuffie, he's not too far behind Sauce Gardner for the second best cornerback.
He's good.
Tariq Woolen has the ball production, but in terms of just like snap for snap consistency, Trent McDuffie's already not a rookie. He looks awesome.
And I mean, he was playing so well at Washington. You know, it's not a total surprise that even a rookie is playing that well. I will say too, I like what they're already doing with Kadarius Toney. I really do like what they are already doing with Kadarius Toney. So let's flip the board here. I like how you got like extremely big font and then a little bit more.
Could never have been a teacher. I would have been.
I thought he was going to have to start writing them vertically there for a second.
Do we?
He's just going to keep angling up.
Quinn, did we have anything from the AFC side of things? I guess I'll flip it back over. Did we have anything from the AFC side of things that people really disagreed with, or anything that got the chat going?
No, most of it was a lot of chalk, a lot of kind of variation of what you guys had. Did get some love for the Jets though.
At
Philip
5?
Cross and Coltrane both had Jets. Phil Cross had the Jets at 5, and Coltrane had the Jets at 4.
I don't mean it to disrespect to the Jets at all, but like, let's be honest. Ravens quarterback situation or the Jets quarterback situation? You're taking the Ravens.
You're working
Chargers quarterback situation or the Jets quarterback situation? You're taking the Chargers. And I know the game of football is more than just the quarterback, but the quarterback does mean the most. So that's ultimately why.
Show me something. And you're here, truthfully. As a roster, they're here. Outside of Zach Wilson, they're here as a roster. I mean, that's not even a hot take. They beat these two teams, you know? They are there as a roster, but it's just when you have a quarterback situation that's been that I struggle to even call it a roller coaster because there's been no highs, really. So when it's that much of a
season,
something you have to work around as a team to win games, I struggle to put you with, above Joe Burrow, above Justin Herbert, above these, I just can't do it right now.
All right. Let's flip it over. Let's go NFC. Who's your number 5 team in the NFC right now? We have, I took a peek at your rankings before we started this show, and
are they the same?
No, they are different.
At number 5, we're going to go with the team that just lost this weekend. We're going with the Dallas Cowboys.
Starting big font again.
Cowbees, we'll go.
Cowbees.
The Cowbees.
Hey, the Cowbs.
I should have said boys, but I thought about that too late. Dallas Cowboys obviously still won games with Cooper Rush. This defense, pass rush, I don't know what their game plan was against the Green Bay Packers. I think they thought that they could just line up and get after Aaron Rodgers without Micah Parsons because they've switched him to off-ball linebacker, didn't let him rush the passer in that game. Only 9 times rushed the passer, so I'm not worried about that being a sign of things to come. I think it's just Dan Quinn's going to have to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we can't get Micah Parsons not rushing the passer. I think they moved him off ball to try to shore up their run defense in that game and then got shredded through the air. They're going to come back with a different game plan. We've seen enough from this defense to know that it is capable of shutting down anyone any given week with that pass rush. And then the other side of the ball, I think they run the ball well enough to be consistent offensively. Mm-hmm. I do still worry a little bit about Dak without the kind of playmakers he's had in recent years being still the high-level passing offense that maybe we saw at other times.
I'll talk about the Cowboys in a second, but not right now. I'll have the Seattle Seahawks.
Interesting.
At number 5. Look, it's a team that's top 20 in EPA per play on defense, top 10 in EPA per play on offense. They're one of the top graded teams in the NFL still. I know a little bit of a stinker this past weekend, and we're going to get into that a little bit more when you reveal one of your teams on the list that is not on one of mine. But I think Geno Smith is still playing absolutely fantastic. I think those receivers are rolling. Kenneth Walker is a fantastic running back, even though he got bottled up a little bit this past weekend. And I do think that the defense is doing enough. I think that they're playing well enough. Uchenna Nwosu is getting after the quarterback. I love what guys like Shelby Harris and Poona Ford are able to do up front. Obviously, having Tariq Woolen on the outside has been a major difference maker for them. I think the tackles are holding up better than we thought they would for 2 rookies. All of this goes into why I still have faith in the Seahawks. I still like the Seahawks, especially when they're playing at home. So I like the Seahawks quite a bit, and I got them at number 5.
Love the Seahawks. I think they're a year away. I just think with all the young guys.
They've certainly jumped the timeline of our expectations. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
And with the 2 first-rounders they'll have next year, shoring up this defense. Defense has outperformed expectations. I still just don't think the talent's quite there to ever really.
Geno's why they're 5 for me.
And Geno's been,
Geno's why they're 5.
I respect it. I'm not going to hate on that at all.
Okay.
Geno's playing better than Dak has this year. I'll say that.
Wow.
At number 4, and the team I'm going to put here at number 4, I'm going to put the 49ers at number 4. Love the playmakers. You won't find a better group of playmakers in the NFL.
Yep.
Just totality of them.
Well,
don't love Jimmy G. Don't love him on a week-to-week basis. Obviously, some injuries have struck on the defense side of the ball and guys that they're not going to be getting back. We talked about how this is ranked with guys that they are going to have come playoff time. They lost some guys for the season already, unfortunately, on that side of the ball. So still a very good defense. Still love this linebacker core. Fred Warner is a difference maker through and through. But it's the Jimmy G effect. Do I trust Jimmy G week in and week out come playoff time? I do not.
There's so much that you can still trust in this team. And again, I'm going to talk about them in a second, but you said that there's no better group of playmakers. I don't know if I go that far with it. Obviously, you've got a lot of teams that have some good playmakers, but they are up there. You got Deebo Samuel, you have George Kittle, you have Christian McCaffrey, you have Brandon Ayuk. Those are all really great playmakers. So
Juwan Jennings.
Juwan Jennings. Want to shout out Juwan Jennings as well.
Sick play.
But I'll get to the 49ers in a second. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys here. What did you say? The
Cowboys?
The Cavs. I'm gonna go with the Cavs at number 4. I still have faith in Dak Prescott. I still think that he's coming to form, coming back from that injury. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get there, especially if we're doing what you said at the beginning of this exercise, where we're projecting forward a little bit. He's going to get fully healthy, fully comfortable. They're going to get Ezekiel Elliott back. Maybe some people would say that's a negative, but at least he's another playmaker for them. What they need is another one of these receivers to step up. Somebody's got to step up. It can't just be CeeDee Lamb. Noah Brown, Michael Gallup, Jalen Tolbert, somebody step up here. They need that other receiver. Defense, I'm not really worried about. It's a unit that can really get after you up front. Anytime that's the case, you can have good production right behind it. So because of their defense, because of their front really, and because I do have a lot of faith in Dak Prescott, that's why I still have them at number 4 here, even though they dropped one this weekend.
All right, number 3, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know why I went lowercase here for the first time, but we're going lowercase with the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins gets a little too much hate, in my opinion. Kirk Cousins is firmly in that QB 8 to QB 14, depending on the year. That is winnable in the NFL. That is
Kirk Cousins is a top 8 to 14 quarterback, and I've always said it.
Exactly.
I've always said
And
it.
that is a good thing to have at the quarterback position. Obviously, you don't want to pay them a ton of money, which they kind of are. But when you have the talent that they have, when you have the kind of inefficiencies that they found in terms of paying guys like Zadarius Smith only $3 million against their cap this season, you could still win because he's playing lights out. Now, they were a little banged up, did get a little banged up coming out of this Bills game. Hopefully be healthy by playoff time. But I do think Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and a good tackle duo, you have the opportunity to score points on anyone at that point. And that's why they're 8-1. That's why they continue to win games, is because they kind of have a high floor with that talent that they have offensively.
I've always been Kirk Cousins is like a 9 to 17 kind of a guy.
Okay.
You've got him 8 to 14. That's a little. I respect it. I respect that group that you have him in there. Number 3, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I think this is a really good football team. Both sides of the ball. I think this is a really good football team. You talk about Jimmy G and the limitations. Are they going to beat a team like the Bills? Are they going to beat a team like the Chiefs? Are they going to beat a team like the Dolphins? No, probably not. But it's going to be closer than you think it is, because what D'Amico Ryans doing on that defensive side of the ball, how well those players are playing on that side, the stars that they have on that side at all 3 levels. Nick Bosa up front, Fred Warner in the middle, Talanoa Hufanga on the back end. Losing Emmanuel Mosley is going to hurt them, I think, in the long run. So that really sucks, no doubt about it. But I still think they're playing fantastic ball. They've got great playmakers on the offensive side. So I've got to have them at number 3 here, just because of how well they are playing within their own identity. They're a strong team. I got a lot of faith in where they're going.
Yeah, I do think here 2 through whatever it's mishmash. You can really order these in a lot of different ways depending on how you want to value certain aspects of their teams.
All right, go ahead.
And that's why at number 2, I am going
ahead.
to value having the most decorated quarterback of all time, with a group of playmakers that still, any given weekend, can get the job done. A trio of cornerbacks that can shut down in man-to-man coverage some of the best offensive receiving corps in the NFL, as we've seen. And, talent. They have talent. They haven't played to that talent. Guys like Devin White, guys like Vita Vea, not playing to that level, but they can. And that's why at number 2, what they are capable of is still a team that can beat anyone any given week, can shut down an offense like the Seahawks. I like Tampa Bay Bucks still.
If you can do math at home, you will see that I'm going to have the Vikings at 2, which means I'm not going to have Tampa at number 1, because there's only one other NFC team, which means that I don't have Tampa in my top 5.
Yeah, you're just a hater.
You are doing this, and the caveat that you said at the beginning of the exercise is what they possibly could be, what they could be at the end of December, early January when it comes to playoff time. That I can certainly see. You have a lot of evidence.
I've been believing the Bucks all year.
You have a lot of evidence for that to be the case. Maybe I'm scorned. Maybe I've watched too much of it. But I would have them right now. I would have the Bucks kind of in this group with the Giants, with the Seahawks for this number 5 team in the NFL. And some people might be like, Trev, Bucks just beat Seattle. What's the big deal? Yeah. This was a weird game for Seattle. Seattle, massive time zone change. They did not come out right in that game in the first half. I think if they play that game anywhere in the States, whether it's in Tampa or whether it's in Seattle, Seattle probably wins that game. And I don't mean to take a win off the board for Tampa. They went out there, they did it. But I still think that puts them a lot closer to down here than it does up here. So I don't have the Bucks at number 2. There are too many things that they are falling short on when it could be, like you said, what they could be, the expectations of the potential there, they're not achieving those. And so that's why I had to have them off of the list. I got the Vikings. Spell that right?
Yeah.
Vikings at number 2. I like this team a lot, man. I really do like the Vikings. I think they have one of the best edge rush duos in the NFL in Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith. Justin Jefferson, clearly we talked about it yesterday, one of the best playmakers in the game. I agree that Kirk Cousins is getting a little bit too much flack, and dude, that offensive line is good. Yeah. That offensive line is playing really, really great. Outside of Eddie Ingram, who's struggling a little bit, but offensive line as a unit, I think, is playing really well, and I think they're going to continue to play well down the stretch. They'll get that number 2 seed, maybe even the number 1 seed, since Philly has dropped a game that we didn't expect here. So your number 1 team, my number 1 team, I think we got the same one here.
Yeah, it's the Eagles. Just the most complete team in the NFC, pretty much bar none. Not a lot of holes in this roster. Not a lot of ways, positions to exploit, shall we say. There's no way to go into the Eagles game and be like, hey, shut down A.J. Brown, we win this game. It's like,
right.
No.
That's a great point. It's a great point.
Hey, attack, slot corner, we win this game. It's like, no, C.J. Goddard drops the ball. There's a lot to like about this Eagles team, to where it's just going to be tough to beat week in and week out. And that's, gauntlet of playoffs, 3 games, which are probably going to be the 1 seed, 3-4 games. You're going to have to unseat them. Unlike this past week on Monday night, I don't think they're going to lose games completely.
I see the Eagles and the 49ers very similarly. I think they're 2 very good football teams. I think they're very well coached football teams. The difference is I think the Eagles have more talent than the 49ers do in more areas. It just seems like it's just like a little bit better in all of those areas. Vikings are obviously, for as well as they're playing, I have to put them in that mix as well. So there we go. Those are the top 5. Seahawks, Cavs, 49ers, Vikings, Eagles, and then you got the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Vikings, the Bucks, and the Eagles. Do we have any debates here on the NFC side of things?
Some Giants love. There's a couple people trying to sneak the Giants in there.
I thought about the Giants for number 5. I did think about the Giants for number 5. It's like the Titans, man. No. They run the ball so much that if you go up against a team that has any sort of passing attack, feels like they're probably going to end up with more points than they do. And the other thing about the Giants, I think they've played the 31st easiest schedule to this point. They just played a lot of really easy opponents, so I can understand the Giants.
I will say it took everything in my power not to throw the Packers on here after they just beat the Cowboys.
No,
if they would have had Rashawn Gary and Eric Stokes, we maybe could have talked. They've lost a ton of close games. I mean, they've thrown away. They're still a good team, but just throwing away a lot of games. And obviously with the injuries, they're not coming back anytime soon.
All right, there we go. NFC, AFC power rankings here for us. A little update there for you guys. But the whiteboard fun is not over with, because you guys loved when Seth was in the building last couple of weeks, and he was able to do some of his X's and O's breakdowns. We all love that as well. So we're going to try to give it to you remotely. Seth's not here with us right now, but we have the technology here in 2022 to hopefully be able to bring you guys some whiteboard segments every single week. So is Seth, do we have Seth on here? Is Seth with us? Seth, can you hear us, my friend? right when the camera falls?
Right when the camera fell. What's up? What's going on? I'm ready.
Big chillin', my friend. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
It's cold here. I got the hoodie on.
I see the hoodie. Mike also has a hoodie.
Yeah.
I feel left out.
Should have worn a hoodie.
Oh wow, the kid from Florida doesn't have a hoodie. Yeah, let's all make fun of him. Cool. How cold is it set there? Before we get into the, what is it? What are we talking about?
No, you're not going to understand it because I'm going to have to tell you in Celsius. And then you're going to have to do a conversion.
No, and we don't have time for that. We definitely don't have time for that kind of stuff. So Seth, everybody loved what you were able to do on the whiteboard over the last couple of weeks, obviously, because it was highly educational, very entertaining, as always. What do you want to talk about this week? You've talked about the Philadelphia Eagles offense. We broke that down on the whiteboard. We also talked about the Miami Dolphins offense. You were able to break down a specific play that they continue to run and continue to have success with. What's something that you want to break down today? What do you want to bring to the table? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, you got to talk about the biggest game of the weekend, Bills-Vikings. Vikings with that unbelievable comeback. And I want to talk about the play. I think it's a really interesting concept on offense and defense of the Dalvin Cook 81-yard touchdown run that kind of started the comeback late in the third quarter, down 17. And you run the ball, get an 81-yard gain for a touchdown, and then kind of the rest is history. And they come back and win one of the best games of all time.
So it's the Dalvin Cook play that you want to break down. What about it did you love? Do we have a little there it is.
Here we go.
There's our little whiteboard action. All right, okay. Spell it out for us. How did this play happen that made such a major difference in the final score for this Vikings-Bills game?
So it's a really interesting concept, and we have to talk about it because of, as you can see here, these two high safeties, right, that I just circled, that I've underlined. Because once you play with two high safeties, you don't have enough players to deal with all the gaps in the run game. So if we just go here, let me change the color here. So if we just go here, we can see that the offensive line we have two tight ends over here, two receivers, and the 5 offensive linemen, and Dalvin Cook is here in the backfield. And what we have to understand is that everyone needs to be in a gap, basically. You can 2 gap, you can 1.5 gap, but basically everyone needs to be in a gap. So we have he's in a gap, 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 he's in a gap. So our issue right here, as you can see, is this place right here. That is the B gap. That is the weak side B gap. So how you have to defend that is in different ways. And what the Bills like to do is defend it by bringing a safety down. So in this case, it's going to be this safety right here. But the issue is, and what the Bills like to do, is show you that they're going to stay in too high for as long as possible until they inevitably decide if they're going to come down and spin a safety down. And one of the reasons you do that in general is because you don't want to give away your hand. But also, one of the issues doing against the Vikings is this man right here is Mr. Justin Jefferson. So earlier in the game, they had a one-on-one, and Jefferson, I think, ran a comeback like this and just tore up the cornerback, right? So it's tough to, like, you don't want to show them. What you don't want to do is basically put this player, if I can do this, hold on a second. We're going to figure this out. Don't worry. We're going to figure this out. What you don't want to do is move the safety too early. Because if you move the safety too early, then what happens is you look like this, and then you know you have the one-on-one with Justin Jefferson. So you're like, okay, well, we're going to wait around. We're going to play it late, and then we're going to make our decision late. So the safety's up here. Let's go back to the Vikings side of the ball. We have two tight ends over here. What those two tight ends mean, so right here, what those two tight ends are showing you is that there's a heavy strength of that formation to the right side. So the Bills are saying, okay, well, what's the run play we're going to get from there? And generally the run play you're going to get from this formation is what we call a duo run. And all duo means is that we're going to try and get as many double teams. So here, hold on a second. So we're going to get double teams by these two players, and kind of by these two players. I'm going to push those double teams up to the second level, all the way up to these two linebackers. And we're just going to pound them. We're going to play with two tight ends to that side, plus you have Adam Thielen, who is in a tight split, and we're going to pound them. And they had run this earlier in the game, and they got maybe a couple yards. And generally when they're in this formation, they don't run this formation a lot, but generally they do run over here. So they're saying, all right, well, like the Bills are saying, okay, how do we defend this duo run? We got to put big bodies over here. So Milano actually is aligned over here as the Vikings are lining up, and then shifts over here. So now he's in the A gap with Tremaine Edmonds, who's also pushed to that side of the field. So they're saying we have to deal with that with big bodies. We need our two linebackers to that side of the field. What the Vikings end up doing, they run weak zone, which means they're coming here into the B gap, right? The B gap that's open because we don't have the safety down. And this is a run that you're going to see time and time again in the NFL when teams are going to push over their linebackers and have that safety fill in late. And because the safety is filling in late, what ends up happening is you get really good angles here. I'll delete 1 second. You get really good angle here on this block. You get a nice double team all the way up to Milano, and then Cook can gain this entryway into the B gap. The safety comes down. And because the safety is not already aligned in that B gap, what they do, and what most teams do, is they'll tell the receiver over here, we don't block corners. Cornerbacks are loser tacklers, right? Most cornerbacks don't want to get involved in the run game.
Especially
so what we're going to do is we're going to tell this wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, to come up the field and then go and block that safety who's coming down, because you have a good angle on him because he's coming from 10 to 12 yards. They get this block. The corner, so Dalvin Cook is in the hole right now. The corner is like, oh, am I following Jefferson? It might be a pass play, it might be a play action. He's late, and then Cook is kind of down the sideline for 81 yards. So just a good example of saying, like, okay, we want to play too high. Yeah, we want to spin late, but here are the issues we get when we're going to push our linebackers over to one side of the field, keep that open B gap open. We have bad angles on that weak side run. And watching this, the Vikings earlier this season, they played the Saints in London, and the Saints, so it's a little different, but the Saints were already had a player down there. They were like kind of showing one high, I believe. But one of the differences in this B gap, with this open B gap, what a lot of teams like to do is say, okay, instead of just telling this player to, yeah, you have the C gap, that's it, whatever, we're going to open up the B gap. What they did in this game, what the Saints did, was spike him into the B gap. And all that does is it forces the player like Dalvin Cook to bounce it earlier. And once you bounce it and you go laterally, you allow players like this who now he doesn't have the B gap anymore. He's the C gap player to make a play. The Bills don't do that. The Bills try and play it more simply, I would say. They get caught. 81-yard run. Ladies and gentlemen, the comeback of the century happens.
Mike, what do you think about that? What do you think about the Vikings run game overall and them being able to spring that big play?
Yeah, and the other aspect of it is you have a guy in Justin Jefferson who's a willing blocker, comes in and takes on a safety head-to-head that not a lot of wide receivers getting over 1,000 yards. Like top-end wide receivers are willing to stick their nose in like he is. You have Christian Darrisaw left tackle with a kick-out block where he just throws AJ Epinesa 4 yards to allow the space there to then make that broken tackle, the one-on-one with the cornerback, a lot easier for Dalvin Cook. And you have Garrett Bradbury with a nice little reach on the nose tackle. Like, it's scheme, great aspect of it, but then you have to have the players to execute. And right now the Vikings have those players to execute.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
The thing about Jefferson that I think people forget, not everyone forgets this, I only remember it because I happened to watch a lot of LSU games, is that in 2019, he was playing often as what we call the point man in the bunch. So playing like on the line of scrimmage next to the offensive tackle. And when you're going to do that, you got to be a willing blocker. You got to be a dog. And he's always been that type of player. Obviously, he plays further away from the line of scrimmage, as an outside receiver in the NFL, but we know that he wants to get his nose dirty. He's not afraid of making these kind of blocks. And that's the block that sprung Dalvin Cook for the 81-yard run.
Seth, another fantastic X's and O's segment, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us, even in the cold elements. Thank you for bringing up the hoodie ratio here on the show. I'll be sure to be better next time. Appreciate you, my friend.
See you guys.
I love Seth doing that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. I wasn't looking at the chat. I actually haven't seen a lot of the chat because I was literally sitting there mesmerized by what Seth was doing. But that worked beautifully. Hopefully we get to do that every single week. Doing some kind of breakdown. You breaking down something, Seth breaking down something. I think it'll be fantastic. Seth gave me a great transition, though. Great transition. Mm-hmm. He said that, Justin Jefferson, that's why he's got a dog. That's why he's got that dog in him. That's why he's got that dog in him, which brings us to Dogs of the Week, baby. Oh, we got a video? Do we have a video?
Dog. He gets after it. He's a dog. Dog. He scored 5 touchdowns. Dog. He's a dog. He's a dog. He is a dog. Absolutely.
I couldn't start the segment without it. It wouldn't have felt right. Mike, who is your first dog of the week here? Everybody in the chat, as we're going through our dogs of the week, make sure you get yours as well. Fire them off in the chat. We'll read them off as we kind of go along here. Who's your first one?
First dog of the week, the most recent dog of the week, Taylor Heineke.
Oh, yeah, baby!
Usually we're supposed to put stats in like a description for why a guy is the dog of the week. I just said he's a dog. like in the pre-production, I was like, he's just a dog. There's no stat to personify why Taylor Heineke keeps winning games for the Washington Commanders. When you write gamer on a scouting report or talk about that word, Taylor Heineke is that guy. It's no surprise that he grew up watching and a fan of Brett Favre because it's very reminiscent of just those plays that it's just like, let me give my guy a chance. Let me take this chance. It's somewhat calculated, sometimes not somewhat calculated, but he is just going to play that high variance style of football that when you catch the high end of it, you can beat a team like Philadelphia Eagles. The kneel down at the end was a galaxy brain play. Obviously knows the clock's such a big, some guys would throw that away, but he knows the situation through and through. Now, I don't blame Brandon Graham. I don't blame the refs. Just an unfortunate situation where it's a weird thing that you wouldn't have guessed to do. But then, yeah, Taylor Heineke, the well-deserved chain, pulls it off in a much less ironic way than one Kirk Cousins.
I'm not even focused on the chains.
It's the Busch Lights in a trash can.
The Busch Lights? That man, okay, how did they get Busch Light that quick on the flight?
I mean, he had to have it prepped, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Do you think Taylor Heineke went to the staff on the Washington Commanders and said, I want Busch Light on the plane for when we win in Philly?
Yes.
Because I don't know how else they get it that quick. Yeah. They're not stopping at a convenience store.
Yeah, they got enough people on the sidelines.
It is funny because Taylor Heineke reminds me a little bit of Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? Where he just somehow does shit that nobody else is doing, and sometimes it gets you a win, and you just don't know how to explain it. But I would have told you that Ryan Fitzpatrick is forever a dog of the week, and Taylor Heineke following his footsteps being a dog of the week. Look, you guys already named my first one. You said at the beginning of the show when you knew that it was a Tuesday episode, Justin Jefferson better be a dog of the week. he is 100% my number one dog of the week. Seth mentioned it in the X's and O's breakdown, not just the grades, which we saw plenty of. Elite 91.3 receiving grade, 16 targets, 10 receptions, almost 200 receiving yards, and also 7 contested catches, 8 first downs, 5 explosive plays like we talked about yesterday. An unreal performance. And the cherry on top was perhaps one of the greatest catches that we've ever seen to cap off that game. He's a blocker, he's a receiver, he's everything for the Minnesota Vikings. He absolutely personifies what it means to have that dog in him, to go up and rip that football with one hand away from Christian Benford to really continue that game and end up getting them an overtime victory. That's dog of the week. That's absolutely dog of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Who's your next one?
Next one, I am going to give one to Andre Cisco, safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I love it. I love it.
2 forced incompletions. Playing football out here like it's 1995, throwing around some shoulders into some receivers. Now, unfortunately, knocked out Juju Smith-Schuster in that game. Not flagged for that hit, though. 2 forced incompletions, 1 interception, 93.0 overall grade, flying around the back end. One of the few things to write home about the Jaguars defense in this game. But yeah, that was a throwback performance. He is lucky to not have gotten flagged on some of those hits.
No.
But they were shoulders. They were shoulders that he's leaving.
He's an aggressive player. But he was at Syracuse. Yeah. He's always been an aggressive player. Whether it was playmaking when the ball's in the air, whether he was going after tackles over the middle. Like, Cisco's always been a big-time aggressive player, no doubt about it. Cordy keeps giving a shout-out to Sexy Dexy. I think he's talking about Dexter Lawrence, the nose tackle for the New York Giants. He wants a dog of the week right there. We've got some votes for Taylor Heineke, of course, for dog of the week as well. Christian Watson, your boy, little dog of the week. Do you have him? Come on.
You can't drop 2 passes.
4 catches, 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. They don't win the game without him. What do you mean? Come on.
I can't reward
Christian Watson.
Such behavior.
Jeff Saturday, dog of the week. Come on. He's got to be a dog of the week. Getting the dub over the Raiders.
Jim Irsay gets the nom.
Jim Irsay, dog of the week.
Yeah.
We might have to do it. Sport Talk Center said Kevin O'Connell is him. Dog of the week for Kevin O'Connell. I think Kevin O'Connell, obviously, an incredible start to his head coaching career with the Minnesota Vikings. You love to see it. I got to go back to my team here. Maybe disrespected him a little bit on the power rankings, but Rachaad White, rookie running back, no question about it, a dog of the week. Not just the performance itself, which 22 carries, 105 yards. Half of his yards came after contact, 58 yards after contact. Had 4 explosive runs. He was Tampa's first 100-yard rusher since week 1 this year. Also, if you notice, 4 explosive runs this past week. Tampa had 10 total explosive runs all season before this game. All season. This dude almost gets half of what they had on the season, which you love to see. And then, of course, what actually makes Rachaad White a dog of the week is that he stiff-armed Quandre Diggs into the damn shadow realm this past weekend. That was a dog-like run, and it was a Marshawn Lynch-like run against the Seahawks. That's disrespectful. It's disrespectful, but it also makes you a dog of the week, and it gives you a dog of the week nod here. So Rachaad White should be Tampa's RB1 going forward. Dog of the week. Love to see it. Who's your last one? My last one is one Tua Tagovailoa. Man. Has to get a shout out for the stretch that he is on. Over the last 3 games, he has earned a 96.0 PFF passing grade. No other 3-game stretch from a quarterback this season has earned higher than a 90.8 passing grade. He is on a heater like none other right now over that span. 8 big-time throws. Not a single turnover-worthy play. That's the biggest thing to me. That I don't care who you are, that you have to respect about Tua's game right now is that these sort of boneheaded, dumb Tua plays that he has gotten roasted for over his career are gone over the stretch. He has not made any of those throws so far after that Steelers game, the 3 games post his return. He's playing damn near flawless football. It's hard to ignore at this point. The haters keep hating. Tua's going to keep Tuaing. Sipping Sideways said Rudy Ford, your boy, Packers legend. Rudy Ford looked good. Packers legend, 2 interceptions, 4 tackles, takeover player. Yeah, I mean, look, a better game than Darnell Savage has had at any point in the last 2 years. Ooh, Patrick said Rashad Weaver. I didn't watch any Weaver this past week.
I did not.
Okay, all right. There's a shout out there. We got a couple.
We had a ton of pressure.
Got a couple for Penny Sewell. Penny Sewell's out here with getting some Dog of the Week mentions. Got a couple at Andre Sisco, obviously. Love that. Love to see Sisco in there. A lot of people loving the Tua shout out for a Dog of the Week. Ooh, Nathan, the chat champ from yesterday, Nick Westbrook-Akine for the Tennessee Titans. They don't win that game without him. They do not win that game without him. I love the shout out there. That's fantastic. My last one, going to an old vet who did something in his stellar career that he has never done before. Okay, going Patrick Peterson, cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about so much about their edge rush duos, what Kirk Cousins is doing, what Justin Jefferson is doing, the O-line, Dalvin Cook. Patrick Peterson's out here playing some damn good football. This past week against the Bills, 91.7 coverage grade, over 50 coverage snaps to get there, 5 targets, 4 catches allowed, 46 yards. He had 2 interceptions in this game, and this was the big one for me, Mike. For the first time in Patrick Peterson's career now, he has logged 2 games of elite 90 or better coverage grade in a single season. First time, man.
Yeah.
First time. And Patrick Peterson's been playing some damn good ball throughout his career in the NFL. And this is the first time that he's been able to do that, playing really well for that Vikings defense. He also has a game, I think, in the mid or high 80s as well that didn't qualify, obviously, for a 90 or above, but he's playing well. What a fantastic get he has been for the Minnesota Vikings, especially on this run where they think they're going to make it deep into the playoffs. So had to give the Wiley vet a shout out here for a Dog of the Week award for Patrick Peterson.
Steve Keim, look away. Not your finest.
Oh, we got a shout out from last Thursday Night Football, Deonta Foreman. Crap ton of carries, Dog of the Week. Love that. Deonta Foreman's style of running is also all about dog. Yeah, it's a Dog of the Week kind of mentality.
Like a bull mastiff, just run through the middle.
All right. We got another shout out for Sexy Dexy. People keep. I think they just love the nickname Sexy Dexy.
I mean,
for Dexter Lawrence, the nose tackle for the New York Giants. I think that's what
fitting.
Zachary also said under the radar Dog of the Week. Dan Moore. Huge game, ignited the Steelers' run game this past weekend. Maybe keep that left tackle job in Pittsburgh. So I like that. I like that shout out as well. Cordy also said Andrew Thomas, best left tackle in the league. He's playing well. No doubt about it. Oh, Nathan, this is the last one. Matt Ryan, the 39-yard dash. You know what would make Matt Ryan a Dog of the Week for me? It's on that run. There's a moment where he could duck out of bounds. You know, I think it's his receiver or his tight end who's about to make a block on somebody, but he could have ducked out of bounds right before it. But instead, he put that foot in the ground, he cut up, and he got 6 or 7 more yards out of it. That's dog mentality, baby. Yeah. That is dog mentality. Matt Ryan was staring at a situation right in the face where he was like, I might not start again in this league. You better believe I'm going to get every carry I possibly can. That's when you know Matt Ryan's got that dog in him. That's what Jim Irsay saw. That's what Jeff Saturday saw. And those are our Dogs of the Week. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in on this. That's one of our most fun segments that we get to do every single week. Mike, let's get people out of here by looking at some early lines for Week 11 in the NFL. When you take a look at these lines, what's a game that stands out to you being like, might be able to make some early money on that one?
Yeah, Commanders going to the Houston Texans. Over-under in that game is only 40.5. I've seen the Commanders play that, you know. I said it when I wanted the over in last night's game. They play that kind of high variance style that's just going to lead to either turnovers or points on the board. And I think this Texans game is going to be points on the board. It's over 40.5.
40.5, okay. I saw that Minnesota is getting points against the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
They're better than the Cowboys.
It's debatable. But yeah, they have a better record than the Cowboys.
They're better than the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay.
You have
I had them ranked higher.
You had them clearly ranked higher in your power rankings.
I did. Yeah, I did also say 2 through 6.
And the Vikings are getting points in this game. So Minnesota's getting 1 point. I believe this is in Dallas. Has to be in Dallas. But yeah, anytime that Minnesota's getting points, they're sitting here at 8-1. I think they're absolutely rolling as a team right now. I think it'll be a good game. I don't think they're going to blow them out. I'm not saying that, but I'm taking Minnesota getting points against anybody that's not the Philadelphia Eagles at this point. So.
Yeah, I will also say, like, the Cowboys' biggest weapon, Micah Parsons, he is still a little feast or famine. He will own the lesser tackles. High-end tackles, he's still yet to show that he's really a guy that can still consistently beat Brian O'Neill, a Christian Darrisaw, snap after snap.
That'll be fun.
They're going to both be out of that game.
That will be a fun duo that we get to see go up against Micah Parsons this upcoming weekend. But I'm taking the Vikings, man. If you give me 1 point, I'm definitely taking the Vikings, no matter what in this one. Quinn, what do we have as the answer for our question of the day? Can we flash the question of the day up one more time, just so people can get some last second and final guesses in? Since an 8-0 team was defeated last night, which NFL team was the last team to defeat an 8-0 opponent? So not the Commanders, excluding last night. Daniel, we got to get a real answer in here. I'll say it was the Cardinals last year.
So yeah, Green Bay.
Yeah, I'll say Green Bay.
Right.
I'll say Green Bay for that one.
Cool.
Can we get the answer? What's the answer here?
Close-ish. It was an NFC team. The Seahawks on November 11th, 2019. Beat the San Francisco 49ers in OT. Cardinals was close. Cardinals started off 7-0.
They were 7. Damn
Very
it.
close.
See, that's what I said at the top of the show. I couldn't remember if they were 7 or 8.
Oops.
Took a swing at it.
Yeah.
All right.
Ravens also beat the Patriots a couple weeks earlier. They were 8-0. But
You said the last.
since it was afterwards, most recently,
That is true.
Seahawks.
No, that's how the question works. It was good. It was a good question of the day. It was nice. That was nice. It was again, just getting us ready, get our minds right for trivia on Thursday.
Why does it feel like the Cardinals starting 7-0 happened about 4 years ago?
It does.
This point,
It does. Because it's been a long damn time since then. Since we've really had good things to say about the Cardinals. And I think a lot of people felt like the Cardinals were kind of fool's gold, even when they were 7-0. You know, it goes back to the Steelers. You know, you think about those good when you think about like a really good Pittsburgh Steelers team, you don't think about the one that was 11-0. You know, you go a little bit further back than that. So I think that's why it messes with your mind a little bit. Who's the chat champ? Who's the chat champ for today? Did you guys crown one?
Brock. Shout out Brock.
Brock out here.
Great
Chow
name.
champ, baby.
How is that available too? Like just as your
Just Brock?
YouTube? Yeah, Brock. You didn't have to slide any numbers in there or anything. Didn't have to add a last name or an underscore.
Well, is it just
I don't think you have to.
No, I think
you
it's
can just
a
change
name.
your display.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it shows you how much
like El
about the
Mucho,
app I
like
use
El
every
Mucho
day.
Ding Dong isn't doing that out of desperation. Like that's the choice.
Yeah.
That was the first choice for the name.
He is El Mucho Ding Dong.
He is. Yeah.
You think there's a lot of people out there that are demanding the El Mucho Ding Dong?
I mean, but that's why you got to get on it early. You know, that's why
true.
you got to get on it early. Any social media platform, he's got to get in there and make sure that he reserves the name. You know, so shout out to Brock, our chat champ for the day. Brock, hopefully you're a big draft fan because tomorrow going full 2023 NFL draft, baby.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking draft all day long. We'll have a couple of other segments as well where we talk about the rest of the league, but it's gonna be a big draft day. It's something mock draft related. Something, you know, we're going to update the team needs. We're going to talk about the current mock draft order. We're going to get into a lot of different stuff tomorrow, but it's going to be draft centric. You guys got to make sure that you stick around for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. For Trevor Sikkema, for Mike Renner, for everybody in the production portal, thank you guys so much for watching It's Just Football. We will be back right here at 11 a.m. tomorrow. See you guys then.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball. Then we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
Not just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.